Would you please clear up the cuck article you wrote?
I am not going to talk about this.
Okay.
And basically, you know what? You for bringing this up right here and right now.
Me?
Why are you doing this to me?
I didn't know that. I didn't know what it was.
Well, just use a little bit of common sense.
Sorry, apologies.
Yeah. You.
Elizabeth.
Heartfelt.
What?
Nothing. I'm just I literally was just coughing. It's just an inconvenient cough.
At no point, not during the show, not before the show, not at any point in the entire time that I have known Jack, has it been told to me that A, this topic existed and this article in question existed, and B, that it was something that was off limits that we couldn't talk about.
But they didn't see the whole thing where I was like, let's not talk about that after I've addressed it. And then she brought it up again.
However, this was not said to us at any point during the You Are Here episode. When the show did end, Jack got up. I made an attempt to apologize or to at least ask what had happened and what had made him react that way. He told me to go fuck myself, or he either said go fuck yourself or he said fuck you again. I can't remember which. And then he left. For Jack, I will extend him the courtesy of assuming that he was purely mistaken in what he was saying and did not realize that he had not in fact set boundaries and that he had not in fact said that this was a topic that he did not want to discuss. As you can clearly see, he never said that.
But they didn't see the whole thing where I was like, let's not talk about that after I've addressed it. And then she brought it up again.
You sit on a throne of lies.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and I'll acknowledge that I want to stay away from kind of cancel culture, so to speak, when it comes to Jack Murphy. I've made one video on him, and I will make this second video and be done with it. I don't want the man canceled. I don't want him erased from the internet, but I do feel a greater responsibility to, well, in particular, the men that view my videos, men that may feel like people like him are going to provide some level of coaching on what it means to be a man. In my experience, anyone that claims to know what the secrets to being a man are is probably trying to sell you something. Whether it's Jordan Peterson or it's Jack Murphy selling his $100 a month essentially chat room, these people, in my experience, are more interested in personal fame and branded masculinity, so to speak, than actually helping people. I don't think that there's any better way to help a man be a better man than to live the principle that you would charge people for. I've got insider comments on what it was like to be in his $100 a month This Is How to Be a Man program, which is hilarious. Another devastating article resurfacing that is just eye-rollingly creepy. And a final thought from Sydney Watson, who basically demolished him last night. All of that after a quick word from this video sponsor. Huge shout out to this video sponsor, Established Titles. Now, this may be the most interesting sponsorship I've had yet. Established Titles is a project based on a historic Scottish custom where landowners are referred to as lords and ladies. The Established Title Pack gives you at least 1 square foot of dedicated land on a private estate in Scotland and an official certificate with a crest. It looks absolutely sick. Lord Jeremy from The Quartering, my official proclamation. Also, remember that they have a charity partner, Trees for the Future and One Tree Planted. They plant a tree for every single order, which is absolutely awesome. So you can get this sweet gift for someone or yourself. You can get a certificate proving your title as well as a unique plot number with which you can see the exact location of your land. Established Titles might be one of the best last-minute gifts ever. You could get even a couple pack for you and your partner, where you get adjoining plots of land. Getting this certificate also helps you officially change your name to Lord or Lady and get it on a credit card or some other, whatever else you want, apparently. For those with Scottish heritage, it's also a great way to connect with family. Established Titles is having a great limited time sale, so go to establishedtitles.com/thequartering to save 10% off today. And remember to use the discount code thequartering, or just click the link below. That's establishedtitles.com/thequartering. Now, if you've been following the Jack Murphy saga, essentially this is a gentleman that appeared relatively out of nowhere and had preyed upon men seeking direction, young men who are rudderless, or divorced men who are looking for kind of this new, I don't know, fraternity, so to speak. I don't think that all people who are offering self-help are inherently bad. I don't even believe that they don't intend to try and help people. But what I do think happens is many of them, as Sydney puts it, LARP as what their product is, and they don't live that life. They aren't that way, and I'm protective of the men in my community. I've spoken at, I've attended MRA conventions, and there is an aspect to the quote-unquote manosphere that is toxic and grifty. I don't want to name names, but I think you know who I'm talking about. There's nothing wrong with selling a product, or an information product, but it's cringe in a lot of ways. Men who, dress like they're teenagers still, selling other men products to be a better man isn't what being a man is about. It's what grifting is about. And with Jack Murphy having basically an old article get brought up in an impromptu situation, I think he was exposed. I believe that Jack Murphy doesn't respect women because if you did, you wouldn't scream at them. And the results have, been pretty swift. The event happens, he's losing 600, 500, losing hundreds of followers a day. And I think it's important that, Jack, he's, in my opinion, kind of weaseled his way into the conservative sphere, just like many of these manosphere grifters. And not all of them are, okay? But there are many. And there are a lot of men in these groups too that also hate women. That's not okay either. I see that when I go to MRA conventions. There's an aspect of that world of men that aren't just going their own way, but actively hate women. And these groups intersect, and there's a lot of house cleaning that has to happen there. But when you write articles like this one, here's a brand new article. Do feminists have our fantasies? We'll say being taken against your will. This is an article that Jack Murphy wrote. And you have stuff like, what feminists deny is that healthy, vigorous tender time can and does include aggression and raising your hands. Men have a natural tendency towards dominance and women to passivity and submission. For a feminist who has rejected polarity and embraced sameness, this presents a paradox. The cognitive dissonance between her chosen dogma and the urge to get choked during tender time is painful. I assure you that even behind the most ardent feminist facade is a deep desire to be dominated and even degraded. The constant refrains otherwise belie an underlying self-hate, but fear not, there is a solution. Do you know what Jack Murphy's solution is? The R word. Not quite the R word, but the R word. The kind of R word a man who loves his girl commits. Conducted under the auspice of consent. What? When a man and a woman tap into the power of the R word, they connect, and the R word, obviously, you put together what it is. The fundamental truth about our two genders: we can kill you. Does that sound like to me, I don't sell $100 a month program, but I don't think that part of being a man is treating women like property. Being a man isn't trying to tap into women's id and take advantage of them in the bedroom. This is messed up. This is sociopathic. This is the type of stuff that pickup artists, a lot of these people come from. I'm actually finding out a lot. Like there's some interesting articles by Mike Cernovich that are troubling. To me, there is an inherent, responsibility of a man to protect a woman. I don't think you're not a man if you don't feel this. Is just my definition of it. I'm not selling you a program, but this is a guy who writes these type of articles. Now, this is an older article, 2015. It was 6 years ago, but it's sick. It's not written like some sort of BDSM guide. It's written like a weird fantasy. He writes even in the comment section, "Thanks for the reply. While you definitely get the larger it, you still succumb to your feminine instincts when responding to this post. Of course, the R word is devoid of love, and no one is advocating for actual R word. What I've advocated for is for women to relax their pearl clutching around consensual acts between adults. Feminists hide their own desires for fear of contradicting the narrative." It's like this guy sounds like a maniac. He also, I want to share just a message here of what interesting clip too. Quote, so a lot of people are talking about old articles, right? These articles are from a long time ago, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, this is from March 3rd, this year. Quote, "Women mature way more quickly. At age 15, they are basically women already. Men hit their prime at 35. Why wouldn't a man in his prime latch on to a woman in her prime? Or in other words, why wouldn't a 35-year-old man date a 15-year-old woman?" And here's the clip.
A mature, established 35-year-old man cannot have a healthy, productive, fruitful relationship with a woman 10 years younger than him.
I didn't say that. I just think...
You just said they were immature and they shouldn't be matched up.
22.
Okay, 22, 23, 24.
Look, they're
10-year-olds
who go to college.
Women mature way more quickly than men, dude.
That's
way more quickly.
It's preference.
At age 15, they're basically women already. Right? And it's like men hit their prime in their 30s.
35.
Why wouldn't a man in his prime latch on to a woman in her prime? Why not? That seems the most logical thing possible.
That's what's happening.
Have you ever talked to a 15-year-old? Could you imagine dating them in your 30s? Just because their Aunt Flo visits them does not mean they're a woman, you creep. Now, everyone keeps saying, maybe it's, he's talking, it's just his first article about sending his wife out to spend time with other men. That's just kink shaming. Okay, fine. What about the article about, how the R word is cool? Oh, that's just kink shaming. Okay. What about this? What about this? Him saying, at 35, you should be hooking up with a 15-year-old. How about him trying to pressure Nick Rekieta into silence?
I wanted kind of your read on how you thought I might take what he said to me. He said something along the lines of, "Hey, you don't look very good right now to our mutuals. So you may want to consider taking down those tweets."
Well, first of all, Nick, I think I have, generally speaking, been a very accurate predictor of how you would react. Remember early on in our friendship when I told that lawyer for the Duck Dynasty guys, you don't want to fuck with that guy.
Like I'm gonna change my opinion because of a mutual.
Yeah, and so
This is Jack Murphy trying to, silence Nick Rekieta. And last night, Sydney uploaded a video which also exposed an interesting lie that Jack Murphy told on the Tim Pool podcast. Tim Pool allowed Jack a platform to defend himself. You know, a lot of people are dumping on Tim for this. Look, I appreciate the loyalty. I'm not going to dump on Tim for that. And if he wants to have Jack on a show forever, I'm never going to tell Tim to not host Jack. But what I am going to do is make sure that people know who Jack really is. He went on Tim Pool's podcast and said that he had previously told Sydney Watson and Elijah Schaefer that he didn't want to talk about this article. But that was a lie, according to Sydney's video. I believe Sydney. Sydney's a friend of mine and has no real reason to lie about it. And you can see interesting stuff going on here.
What was happening? My initial thought was, okay, don't understand this. Not entirely sure what's happening here. Best to finish the show and then deal with this privately. When the show did end, Jack got up. I made an attempt to apologize or to at least ask what had happened and what had made him react that way. He told me to go fuck myself, or he either said go fuck yourself or he said fuck you again. I can't remember which. And then he left. At that point,
real apex behavior. Stormed off the set, and again, all this because Sydney didn't know that he didn't want to talk about this article where he admitted to being a cuckold. He admitted to it. He said multiple times he had enjoyed watching other men please his wife, and that's fine. But to me, that's not masculine. And really, the way he acted is why people are unfollowing him. Not because he wrote this cringe article 5 years ago, but not because there's this other really cringe article from 5 years ago. It's that he acted like a child, and that's not masculine. And the whole thing is a mess, and people aren't exactly willing to allow it to go away, which is what Jack Murphy really wants. Hundreds of people are unfollowing him every time more information comes out. To me, I just want, the men in this community to be very careful about who they give money to. And I want to end this video with a little insider information on the luminal order. This is a comment from somebody who is in the luminal order. Quote, "You can see what they advertise on the website, but in reality, it's a forum and a private chat in Wicker, which is like Slack. There are discussions on masculinity and sense-making, but those are every couple of months. Most of the events made by individual members are not centralized to the luminal order. In other words, people just meet each other and decide to have a hangout or event. The luminal order has a few guys who make products," and then they name, I'm not going to name this person, "and sell it to the luminal order members. I think that's kind of scummy because they charge $700 a year and you just end up getting sold a $500 class on philosophy. There's a central boys club in the LO that does a lot of selling to LO members. I think they see it as an opportunity to make money. Jack Murphy has had several blow-ups on members of the LO. He called a guy a fat A and kicked him from the organization for saying Jack was cowardly for getting the poke. There was the Jacked Brunch event, which costs money, as well as Suits and Steaks event the night before. Suits and Steaks cost $250 per person. There are fitness standards, but no one enforces it. There are attempts at bigger things, but those are member-driven and mostly just hype. They get forgotten as fast as they come up." He writes, "I left because it's a men's organization that doesn't get past being a boy. They still look up to pickup artists and bro culture, but nary a word about how to be a good husband, father, or man. It's a lot of disaffected young guys and old divorced dudes." Don't listen to Jack. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.